One in five suffer.
Erase the stigma.
Brain difference is not a crime.
Mental health isn't just your problem.
It's our problem.
And now, Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave. And it's Marla, and she's also acting as if there's a Dave. Well, Dave exists, but he's just not here right now. Anyway, we promised you a second episode with Aubrey Peeples, and we have been having, if you missed last week, by all means, go back, tune in. This is part 2 of a 2-part episode with Aubrey. And before we get started, I want to welcome everybody and remind everybody to text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 818-698-1021. And please support our A Dollar Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign, so we can continue bringing you great content like this. So again, for those who may not be familiar, I'm glad that you are now, because she actually is amazing. This is episode 2, and this is the best. So we're welcoming Aubrey Peeples. Aubrey is best known for her role as Layla Grant in the ABC drama series Nashville, and Claudia Shepard in Sharknado. And I told her I was going to ask her about that, and it's coming this episode. Oh, she's going to get that. She also played the lead role in the musical fantasy film Jen and the Holograms. She is a vocal mental health advocate who plays a bipolar artist in the forthcoming series Unconventional. Her first solo album, Happy Birthday, is a jazz pop exploration of her personal challenges in mental health, gender equality, and more. When we come back, we will have more conversation with our guest, Aubrey Peeples. We'll be right back.
Help someone who is struggling by supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness and be a part of the NAMI effect. Hope starts with you.
Hey guys, listen up. Learn something.
Aubrey, welcome back to Mental Health Monday. It's very rare that I'm going to make this comment. I honestly feel like, other than the fact for visuals, if I just walked out of here, you could do your own interview. You don't even need me. You just
you're essential.
And listen, the lead out on episode 1 is so perfect for where I'm trying to come in. You led yourself. You don't even need me.
Thank you.
Because you really were. So we were talking about, your understanding, and you're coming to a place of therapy and acceptance of your mental health challenges in the past. But you ended pretty much, one of the things that jumped out for me is considering what you do and your craft. In acting, also, you are an artist, you're a singer as well. Yes, you're a musician. And so you were talking about, really honestly, some of these things that may be looked at as negative being almost a window into you being able to explore characters. Somebody gives you a role and you immediately go into introspection and dive in and, analyze and figure this out so you can bring this to a character. So let's talk a little bit about that, how you have navigated how mental health as it pertains to your craft first in acting. And then we're going to get into a little bit more about your music.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think my own relationship with my mental health, I am an extremely deep feeler, and I think that ultimately that has really helped me with acting and music. I think being a very emotional person is a gift in my life, even though it's also brought me a lot of struggle in many ways. I really do think that it makes me a stronger artist. And I don't mean that in a way to romanticize, you have to be depressed to be an artist. No, but I do feel like a closeness with my depression and anxiety in a way that, like you said, they're a window to explore the self. And ultimately that's the place that I write music from. And that also is a really wonderful tool when it comes to developing a character.
So is there ever a time, is there a better time for you creatively versus, what I'm basically saying is, so if you find yourself does depression shut you down, or does anxiety make you go, oh, no matter what, I just can't power up to come to any kind of creative solution here for what I'm trying to accomplish?
You know, I think it's different for acting and then for writing music.
Mm-hmm.
Writing music for me happens when I am on an upswing as far as my mood cycles go. You know, being someone with bipolar disorder, I feel, of course, much more creative. I have a lot more creative energy when I am riding that wave on my, high, which is we need better words to describe these things. But
Right.
yeah, I really break down mood swings at its simplest level as having high energy or low energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not happy, sad, although of course it can be.
Right.
High energy or low energy
Right.
for me,
Right.
at its core. And so, yeah, when I'm on an upswing, I have a million ideas, and that's when I ultimately do a lot of my creative writing. And then when I'm on a downswing, that time is kind of meditative for me. Not necessarily even in a good way, but I feel like the soup is simmering. And I will often be absolutely devoid of creativity musically, but I can feel that that time is allowing me perspective. And yeah, I don't know, for me that's just sort of the natural flow that I'm in, and I'm pretty used to it at this point. But then when it comes to acting has always been my safe space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been something that I want to do always, but also that I've had to do, no
Mm-hmm.
matter whether I'm anxious or depressed or whatever. I've really had to learn how to work with those things when I'm on a job, and that's also been my outlet. That has always been my outlet for feeling my emotions, because feeling my emotions has not always been something that I have been allowed to do,
Mm-hmm.
depending on my environment. And so when I'm feeling my feelings, on set or on stage, that's one of my safest spaces. As far as my, where I feel present in my body, and obviously not every set is a safe space or anything,
Right. Right.
As far as the experience of acting, that's something that I kind of can come to whenever, I guess.
So it's so you haven't found that it's something that you have to fight, because in other words, you've learned that there's synchronicity. It can work. It's who you are, and you work with it based on what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just it's different than writing music for me in that way, I guess. I mean, there are definitely days when it's can be difficult, especially if I'm in a rougher spot and then I'm playing a character that's in a rougher spot. I mean, sometimes that can be a good thing, or it can be, okay, I'm exhausted, I don't want to cry anymore.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I'm so used to managing it at this point.
Okay, so now let me ask you a question. So jazz pop exploration. So did you find this as a genre for you, or do you just is your creativity something that just whatever it is that you feel, you go there? Like is this, talk to me about your the genre of choice for Aubrey.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've sort of been all over the place musically. I really dabbled in a lot of different genres of music, both in my acting career. Playing Layla Grant was more country music,
Right.
and then Jem was more pop music. And I've also, I was in Carrie Brownstein's pilot Search and Destroy, which was based on her band Slater Kinney. So I was doing more punk music. I've gotten to explore a lot of different genres that way.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up doing musical theater, so that is my basis. That is my core when it comes to how I learned music.
Right.
And then when I was living in Nashville and sort of starting to write my own music seriously and playing shows, going on tour, I was more doing blues. And that really felt right at the time. But looking back, I feel like I was trying to fit myself into a genre I love, but that doesn't come as easy to me writing wise, or at least it wasn't quite right. And then I just stopped trying to put a name on whatever was coming out of me. And I also have been in a very different place now with myself than I was then. I was really cut off from myself when I was in Nashville.
What do you mean cut off from yourself? Explain that just a little bit. I can't even imagine it with you. So wait, hold on. Well, you did it again. I told you. Why am I even here? You could cut yourself off. Okay. We're going to hear more about that thought with Aubrey as soon as we come back from this break. Don't you move. We'll be right back.
When Dave and Marla get together, it's hot.
Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley believe it doesn't take much to make life a little better for our neighbors, coworkers, friends, our family members, even our children who suffer with mental illness. When you support our A Dollar Today Keeps the Stigma Away campaign, you are doing your part to erase the stigma surrounding mental illness. For just $1 today, or $1 a day for 1 week, just $7, we can look forward to a future that does not include the unfortunate and uncomfortable stares, bullying, and the subsequent isolation that our loved ones who suffer with brain differences deal with. Text the word GIVE, that's GIVE, to 818-698-1021 to donate. A dollar today keeps the stigma away. Brought to you by Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave and NAMI San Fernando Valley. It's time for the Mental Health Minute with Marla and Dave.
I'd like to repeat last week's Mental Health Minute and share this. In the first few months of the coronavirus pandemic, the share of United States adults who said worry and stress related to the coronavirus was having a negative impact on their mental health increased from about 1/3 in March 2020 to roughly half in July 2020. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, that number continues to be about half of all United States adults. Women, children, and non-white Americans seem to be disproportionately affected by the mental health and emotional drain of the pandemic. As we pointed out before, both of these newly experiencing mental health or substance abuse disorders and those already diagnosed before the pandemic continue to face additional barriers to finding treatment due to facility closures and other availability issues. At a time when society seems to be struggling with balancing self-concern and the concern of others in need, or just basic sympathy, and dare we even say empathy, we continue to remind you that your overall health has to include your mental health. That being said, if you or someone you know are experiencing mental health or substance use challenges, please, I ask that you reach out to NAMI or Loving Beyond Reason and ask to be connected to resources in your area. This message was brought to you by Mental Health Monday with Marla and Dave.
David is a thinker.
I never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together, it's like a match dancing with a firecracker.
Okay, so I was sharing with Aubrey before we came on in episode 2 that I really don't think I need to be here because she brings herself in and out. I mean, she's clearly a professional, and I'm really just a figurehead. So here, as the figurehead on the spot, Aubrey, you were telling us that at some point that certain times you feel cut off from yourself, and I what does that explain that to me just a little bit?
Absolutely. Well, so growing up, I really didn't feel fully expressed. I didn't feel that I could really fully express myself, right? And part of that was being a child actor and having all these outside influences on who I was supposed to be. And so I had this kind of bizarre upbringing. And then I didn't go to college, right? I didn't have that sort of like normal structured life. I did Nashville. And so those were like my college years. I was a young adult. I started when I was still, a teenager, and then in my early 20s. And I've always, had the desire to get to know myself. And I think I didn't realize at the time how cut off I was from myself, because it wasn't for lack of trying necessarily, but I really didn't know who I was. And I was sort of trying on different roles. A couple songs on my album sort of mention that. There's a line, an A+ student, she tries herself on like the clothes in her closet, hoping it fits, but lies when it doesn't. And that's really sort of the place that I was in for a really long time, trying to be like, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And I really just think in the last few years, I've sort of settled at a place where I feel like I know myself much better and can be more honest to who that person
And that's
is.
interesting because that was going to be my next question, and you've done it again. With these changes and your ability to express it in music and song, how can you be in a genre? Like, it seems like you would change because there's so much of a personal experience. I mean, my goodness, when I think about just who I was from 21 to 25, it's like, whoa, that's a lot.
And let me say, it was no accident that I was singing the blues during those years.
Right.
But yeah, jazz pop really like it was very natural for me because of my influences. You know, there's a really heavy movie musical influence to this album. And I grew up watching movie musicals. You know, I'm talking like golden era, old Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wasn't really, I grew up in a very strict environment, and I wasn't allowed to watch a lot of things, you know, until I really like got my own laptop and just did whatever.
Shut your door to your room. Yeah. It's like,
one of the things I was allowed to watch was the Turner Classic movie channel. And so I was watching all these like Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, all these older musical films. And that plus doing musical theater really has influenced like that. Like I said earlier, that is my foundation musically. And so I think with, you know, sitting with myself over the course of this pandemic, learning I had PTSD, coming to terms with who I am on a more honest level, that sound just started naturally coming out, but with sort of like more of a modern pop influence that has just sort of been influenced by a lot of the music that I listen to. You know, there's a lot of like electronic influence on the album.
I was just gonna say that, you know, once you started to really be able to just open your world up musically and explore. Okay, so my question now is there something that you want to tackle that's really intriguing to you that feels like, okay, is there a collaboration? Is it that you would love to see happen with Aubrey? Is collaborating with Justin Bieber? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not putting anybody out there. I'm just saying, what do you see? Like, is there something that you have a wish list?
I mean, that's so hard because I love so many different musical artists. I guess I'll just start by like listing some of my favorite.
Yeah, sure.
That I've been listening to a lot. I really love, I'm not 100% sure if this is how you say her name, Leon LaHavis. She's got that jazz pop influence. And Joy Crooks, I think.
Okay.
So funny. I don't really know.
It's all good. I
apologize. Baby Rose, I've been listening to a lot. I love Lake Street Dive. That's more of that like blues influence.
Right.
Lead singer's voice is so amazing and a big inspiration for me. But I mean, I could go on and on and on. There's so many artists I would absolutely love to work with. But as far as like, what do I want to tackle next for like a second album? I really want to explore incorporating more of like that lo-fi, jazz pop, hip hop vibe.
Okay.
Some of that there in my album, obviously like the jazz, and I have some funky beats going, but I kind of want to like get more into that. And I also want to up the electronic experimentation. And I've been listening to a lot of disco and R&B lately.
Right.
So that's going to influence the sound too. I want to incorporate some of those influences.
Wow. Well, everything that you're saying, and forgive me for this, I have a little tickle in my throat. Tony's going to save me. My sweetie, always. Excuse me.
Here, I'll drink some water too.
Look, we're drinking water together. This is so special.
Cheers.
We're drinking water together. So, everything that you're saying, it's interesting because you talked about TCM, and I'm like, man, Aubrey just has an old soul. Like, you're deep. Like, in other words, I just feel like that it's something that it's a nature. I feel like that you were born with this, all of these avenues and this depth, because who would expect? Like, my husband would be sitting here right now and he'd be, you know, you and he can, go toe to toe on the depth of music. And I joke him all the time because of what he does, as a 10-time Grammy winning jazz vocalist. Everyone, and we've been married almost 34 years. People see me and they start like naming these deep artists. Oh, do you know? And I'm like, hey. The only thing jazzy on me, it's him. I don't know his people. His people don't know me. But I do know that this is in your soul. This creativity is in your soul. And so I love to hear where the avenues that you're going, because I think whatever you put yourself to is phenomenal. So don't move. I know this is going quick, but we'll be right back with more Aubrey Peeples. Okay, Aubrey, this is your chance.
Okay.
Pole dancing. Go. We got to get a little.
You know I'm a pole dancer?
No. I have to usually dance the pole dance, and I do it in my seat. I go through a little ditty. But there you go. So here's the thing. I talked about you being smart last week, and now we get to see how smart you are. The poll question last week that we asked Aubrey was, due to COVID-19 pandemic, the number of adults in the United States experiencing mental health symptoms has increased from 11% to what percentage? And the choices were 14%, 25%, and 31%. She wasn't valedictorian for nothing. And her answer was 31%, and that is actually correct. So 31% of all adults in the United States experiencing mental health symptoms went up. It went up from 11%. So the numbers, by the way, I have to share this with everybody. It used to be statistically spoken that 1 in 5 American adults suffered with some type of mental health issue, whether they were diagnosed or undiagnosed. Now it's officially at like 1 in 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Just since the pandemic. And it's probably, I think it's everybody. I think there's something in every one of us, to be honest. I really do believe that.
Are you kidding? Of course.
Yeah, I really do. And it's not to, again, we're not labeling. We're just saying that, I have to say this. It's okay to not be okay.
Absolutely.
That's it.
As long as humans have been around, we have experienced depression and anxiety. Maybe not quite this vastly, but they're motivating factors in all animals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if you want to get next week's poll question, you have to stop by the website. The poll question will be posted there, and we want to always hear your voice. So you can go there and read the question, and then you know what your job is going to do? You're going to vote. And so just please keep in mind that this is brought to you by Mental Health Monday and $1 Today keeps the stigma away. Support our campaign. Right there. Okay. So, Miss Aubrey, when can we look forward to your next? Are you currently working on music?
On music, I have a couple songs in development that will be a second album, or maybe I'll release a couple singles. But I've kind of been in that like lower phase, like things have been percolating.
Okay.
But I feel it coming that there'll be more creative inspiration soon. But yeah, I have a couple songs in development right now. I have a music video for my song TV that will be coming out sometime this year. It's already been shot. I'm just in the process of editing it. So that's something we can look forward to. And I'm hoping to do a couple more music videos for the songs that I already have out. So that's kind of where
Do you enjoy shooting music videos? Yeah? Kind of fun?
Especially when I have so much creative input.
I was just about to, she did it again. Yeah. I was just about to ask you how much creative input are you allowed to express in your video productions?
Well, I don't have a label, so 100%. This is an all me, self-funded, doing it.
Oh, so you can just go for it.
Yeah, and I really wanted to do that. Of course I would be totally open to like having a label or whatever, but I just wanted this to be totally like uninfluenced by anyone else or any expectation
Yes.
of where this is gonna go. Yeah,
Yes.
I just wanted it to be like completely honest and artistic, from that sort of like, I don't know.
From that, right, from that place that's pure. I mean, in other words, I'll share this, and you can weigh in on this. I often try to remind, just being in the industry for as many years as I have, and I said, there's a lot of insecurity and anxiety that all artists, in my opinion, face. And I said, just let me give the world this analogy. I said, creating art is like giving birth. So just imagine that every time that you are an artist and you get pregnant with an idea, and you grow this idea inside of you, and you have a crowd of people always outside your hospital window, and the shade is drawn, you deliver this baby, and they go, the baby's here, and they pull the shade up, and you're the artist who's giving birth, and they hold the baby up to the window, and everybody either says, oh my God, that's the most beautiful baby I've ever seen, or really? We waited 9 months to see that, right? and so it's a matter of that. I can only imagine that type of pressure. And I just have to share that because I have such a respect for you maintaining the desire even to fight to be independently creative with your art. Exactly. So in other words, because I honestly think that no matter what, that's when it resonates.
Yeah.
You can feel truth. And so I just don't think that you get past people. I mean, formulas are formulas, and the thing is, you do something true and then it's a hit, and then you think you're going to duplicate this truth, but that truth was in that moment.
Yeah.
So go get your next moment and do it because it's coming from inside of a space that you were born to create. So I applaud you 10 times over for continuing to have babies.
Thank you.
Art babies.
Extra strong because I have had so much outside influence in my life and so much expectation and people trying to be like, well, you should have this career or you should sound like this. And I have definitely fallen for a music scam before. I've worked with producers that were bullshit. I don't know if I can swear on this, but
you can say anything you want, young lady.
yeah, I've worked with a lot of fucked up people. And I was just like, whatever, I'm doing this myself.
Right.
I think that desire was extra strong for me to be able to have that space to create just for myself.
And how important is it for you to bring particular messages forward in your music?
I just can't help but do anything else. At least particularly with this album, it really, really sprung from that realization that I have PTSD, and that just sort of sent me on this whole, I don't know, kind of like a new birth with myself. Just such a difference in understanding to who I am and who I've been, and yeah, just all kind of naturally flowed. I just let it happen. I let whatever came up to come up, and I actually wrote so many more songs than made it on the album. I just was writing,
right,
throwing it all up, and then some of those I was just like, okay, not you.
Well, we're gonna be back with our final words from Aubrey, and whatever she's letting flow, I like it. So we're glad that you were able to share that with us, and we'll be right back with final words from Aubrey Peeples.
Bad.
What are you doing?
Worthless.
Don't trust them. They'll hurt you. You're worthless.
It's pointless.
When the pain of schizophrenia meets hope, everything can change. Help someone who is struggling by supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness and be a part of the NAMI effect. Hope starts with you.
It's raw, real, and unfiltered.
Oh, Miss Aubrey, I am so honored and happy to have had this interview with you. I am a fan. Now I'm an official fan, and I'm a fan of your truth. I'm a fan of your voice. and I'm a fan literally of your art. So I would just, want to again thank you for sharing and joining us in the mission to just literally give a transparent truth that can help to encompass somebody and make sure that they're understanding that you just aren't alone. And I'm going to leave you again with our final words of the day.
Well, I'm going to use this opportunity to plug the new series that I'm working on.
Do it,
okay.
please.
So I am working on a really fun new series by the creator of Eastsiders, Kit Williamson. The show is called Unconventional, and ICM is pitching it right now. So hopefully we'll get to see it out there in the world soon. But it centers a lot of queer narratives, and it really explores a lot of the themes that we've talked about on this podcast. It focuses on how childhood trauma can affect your modern day relationships. And I'm just so excited and so honored to work with all the people involved on the show, not just Kit, but James Bland, Brianna Venskis, Willem, Dana Wheeler-Nicholson, Angela Gibbs. So many incredible people are a part of this cast and this project, and I'm really excited to see what happens. So stay tuned for that. And also my album, Happy Birthday, is available to stream on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal, really anywhere you can stream music. So feel free to go do that.
And one more question. Would you like to share a social media site? Is there a place that you can be followed?
Absolutely, yes. So I'm probably most active on my Instagram, which is at Hey Peeples, it's Aubrey. I have a Twitter, which is at Aubrey Peeples. My TikTok is Aubrey Peeples _Swamps, which is my musical name. I also have an Instagram for my musical name, Swamps, which is Swamps with an underscore in between each letter. And I have a YouTube channel for both Swamps and Aubrey Peeples, and Facebook under Aubrey Peeples. I think that's all of them. I also have a Patreon page.
Hilarious. Well, you got it all covered, and justifiably so. Well, Aubrey, thank you so much for spending this episodes 1 and 2 with me. Let's stay in touch by all means, and let's keep up the good work.
Thank you. You too. Really appreciate it.
We'll see you guys next week.